The Marlins win the Citrus Series for the first time in 7 seasons. I'm going to break it all down on today's Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for 3 seasons now. You can find me on X at Jeremiah Geiger2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every single day. Make sure you hit subscribe to that YouTube channel. And don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And on today's show, LMF is back. He's ready to rock and roll. We're going to break down the Citrus Series, talk about Sandy Alcantara. I have some feelings on Sandy. It feels like 2023 all over again. Also talk about Otto Lopez making his return from the injured list. And Xavier Edwards is out with a back sprain. So a lot to get into. But first off, LMF, welcome back into the show.
Thanks. It's great to be back on a Monday morning. Great weekend of baseball. Finally got a series victory, especially one against the in-state rival. I'm happy, healthier, not 100%, but you're going to have to be in the hospital like I was last week to keep me away from Locked On Marlins, and I'm back and better than ever.
I love to hear it. Glad to see you doing better. And it's going to be a jam-packed episode. First off, the Marlins finally won a series. Like you said, it felt like it had been forever. This team was just trending in the wrong direction. You have the in-state rivals, the Tampa Bay Rays, who always play the Marlins really well. And they took 2 out of 3. So you got to applaud that. You got to give some respect to the Rays. They're a good ball club. But the Marlins played some decent baseball. That first game, the bats were on fire. They put up 9 runs, and I think you really saw the power from this team show up. I talked about a lot this past week how the Marlins needed to add some slug, some doubles, some home runs, and that really came through in a big way this weekend.
Yeah, they weren't playing small ball all weekend. They were hitting with some power, getting that base hit when there were runners on when they needed it, getting the runs scored when men were on third or second and scoring position. And really the opposite of what we've been seeing, especially last week in Chicago, the White Sox series, which we didn't get to speak about, of course, and then the Cubs who are coming into town next. But yeah, it was just nice to see a full team effort on Friday, I want to say. I think every team in the starting lineup got a hit that game, which was great to see. Moving into Saturday's game, it was a letdown on pitching. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then the third game yesterday with Cal having that immaculate inning, Mr. Immaculate, Cal Contrail. He did exactly what he's there to do as a 5th starter. I would like to see him maybe go into a 6th inning, like getting through it. But you know what? The bullpen is what it is. They're being worked and they're really good.
Yeah, the bullpen has improved a ton. Like, they have some legit arms that are starting to come into their own. We talked about Calvin Fauché in spring training, how nasty his stuff is. Ronnie Enriquez, who is DFA'd by the Twins. The Marlins picked him up over waivers. He's been a great addition. This bullpen is carrying the load for this team. And it's going to pay dividends, not just now, but if I look ahead to the trade deadline, the Marlins are going to have 3 or 4 guys, and Bendix likes to deal from the bullpen, not saying, oh, let's rush him out of town, but if you're not in contention, there's teams out there like the Phillies, for example. I mean, they just lost their closer to a PED suspension. There's going to be bullpen-hungry teams, and I know the Marlins are going to try to take advantage of that for sure. Now, when it comes to the power on this team, Kyle Stowers continues to be Kyle Stowers, which it's so crazy to try to wrap my head around where we were at the start of the season. There were fans mad that he made the opening day roster, and it's very likely Kyle Stowers is an all-star for the Marlins, the representative for this team. what a turnaround it's been for him. And it's just awesome to see.
If Jesus Sanchez was healthy, it would have been a choice between Griffin Conine, who started off great, may he get healthy from his shoulder injury, and Kyle Stowers. One of them wasn't going to make this team. It just turned out that the baseball gods said, you know what? It's going to happen this way. And fortunately for us, Kyle Stowers is playing like the player that they thought they traded for. Rough year for him last year in the second half, joining a new team in Tampa on the day of the trade deadline, really played the rest of the season, not really knowing everybody, learning the franchise, but those managers and whatnot were not going to be here anymore. So who knows the camaraderie they had in the dugout or in the locker room or clubhouse, whatever, however you want to phrase it. But coming into this season, he's really stepped up and earned his position on this team. He's not a platoon guy. He's an everyday guy. And if he's going to hit for this type of power the remainder of the season, it's going to be fun to watch and really earning a spot into next year. And I think we have 4 more years of control over him before he gets expensive. So it's going to be nice watching him for his career.
Connor Norby, the other addition in that famous Orioles deal, or if you're an Orioles fan, infamous deal, because they're in a bad position right now. But for the Marlins, two of those players, Connor Norby and Stowers, Norby's heating up too. A really slow start. And I told people, I said, look, you have to give him time. Injury, when you come back from injury, it's not you hit the ground running and start hitting 300. These things take time. But Norby's really heating up. It's been great to see. And we got to talk about Cal Quantrill a little bit, because the immaculate inning, like of all the pitchers on the Marlins staff, he's probably the pitcher I least expect to get that done. He doesn't miss bats. And then he goes up 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts. Like, what? It was wild.
I saw that happen a few years ago at home versus it was Pablo Lopez, I believe, who did it for us, if I'm correct there, or something where he just was so perfect through 3 innings or whatnot, or a full inning. He was just really good. And now to see it again and call control yesterday, Sunday afternoon's game, it was just nice to see. And really, again, he stepped up, and that's the player that they believe they spent $5 million on this year, and hopefully he can continue it. Look, 3 out of the last 4 starts, a starter has gotten the win, and that's huge for us because it's been so long over the last 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks where that wasn't happening, if ever, multiple times. So back-to-back, Sandy, of course, Saturday loses it. Yesterday, Control gets it back, but 3 out of 4 wins are starting wins. It's a good thing to have, and you have Edward Cabrera starting tonight for us. Hopefully, he can make it 4 or 5. We'll see what happens when we get Edward on the mound.
And the pitcher who started Saturday's game, the ace, Sandy Alcantara, not to sound like a broken record, but it was kind of a start of mixed results, if you will. He looked really good for the first 4 innings, and in that 5th inning, he hit a roadblock, much like the White Sox. We didn't talk about that, but really good. Cruised through 5 innings. That 6th inning comes around, and that's where he gets into trouble. It feels a lot like the 2023 version of Sandy Alcantara, which a lot of you listeners and watchers of the show will remember how frustrating it was. We're going to talk about Sandy and just kind of break down what's going on with him right after this. And this episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1-ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. If you love the no-shells variety, it's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether you're snacking at your desk, on a road trip, or you just need a quick protein boost, they're always a go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are, of course, a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids, and these little green wonders pack a protein punch. So whether you're running between the meetings or you're dropping off the kids or you're listening to the Locked On Marlins podcast, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. If you are an everyday listener to Locked On Marlins, I appreciate you. Thank you for being part of the Locked On Marlins crew every weekday here on the YouTube channel and anywhere you get your pods. And if this is your first time checking us out, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm here with a loud Miami fan, LMF. We're talking about Sandy Alcantara, and it's been a rough start to the season for the Marlins ace. Now, the last two starts, I felt that there was some tangible improvement and things to be encouraged about, but the results still didn't look good in the box score. And that's because of two bad innings. Against the White Sox last week, in the sixth inning, he gives up a 3-run home run. It inflates the box score. His final line doesn't look good. And then against the Rays this weekend, 4 runs in the fifth. You take away those 2 innings, he has 9 innings of 1-run ball. Like vintage Sandy. The stuff looks good. He's throwing 100 miles an hour, but he just can't put it all together in a complete start. That's how I look at it right now.
I don't know if the team has openly said what the difference is in his daily routine. From what our friends over on the Fish on First team say is there's no difference. He's doing his thing while everyone else does their thing, right? However, there's something that is happening over the last 2.5 seasons to Sandy, and that, of course, including 2024, which he missed. But that half season, or just over half a season, he was there in 23. This was him. He'd have a couple great innings, or a bad inning, and then a couple great innings. He seems to struggle once the inning turns around. Now, give or take, the defense should have turned a double play or two. And some of the ground balls that were right up the middle to get him out of that inning on Saturday night, which aren't his fault. But there comes a time in your career when you have to get past that. You know, I don't remember Tom Glavine struggling like that. I don't remember Dontrell Willis struggling like that. I don't remember a lot of pitchers, Randy Johnson. You get out of it and you come back and you be better. Sandy's not getting better. He's struggling. He's going backwards, I want to say. He was like this earlier in his career with the Marlins in 19 and 20 and whatnot. And he's reverting back to his old self, and that's all in the head. And you know what? I'm going to give the guy credit. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. He just had his second child, a little baby girl. It's not, there's a lot of outside factors that are into this conversation. Will he get better as the season goes on will be the tell. Do the Marlins have the time with him for us to tell is the question. Will he be traded? Right now, you and I may disagree on this, but I don't think he can be traded. I think that they want to. I think that that's been the plan the whole time. But the way he's performing, he hasn't earned what they would want back in return for the remaining 2.5 years of control over him. And it's not like other control, right? It's already paid out. He already has an extension and whatnot. And if I look at Peter Bendix and the way he ran the Rays, or his people run the Rays, they don't keep pitchers into the end of their long-term deals. They traded Eflin last year. He had signed a 3 or 4 year deal with them. They traded Glasnow, was it, to the the Dodgers, I should say. Yeah, and they just don't keep, even if they sign that extension, they don't hold you there. And this is the year that they do the turnaround when there's 2 years left. So it's kind of frustrating for everyone involved. It's frustrating for fans because we love Sandy and we want him to do great. It's frustrating for him, obviously. No, you know why. He's struggling. And it's frustrating to the team who had plans around the possibility of trading him. Honestly, I'd hold him for the remainder of the year. I wouldn't trade him. We're 9 games under as of last night's win, right? We're not going anywhere this year. That's fine, but at least let's keep the heart of our baseball team here, number 22 for the remainder of the year. Let him play it out and see what his value will be at the end of it. What are your thoughts there?
I see what you're saying, and to your point, the way Sandy has looked is not what Marlins fans want or expected. And sometimes I feel that I myself put so much expectations, and they were really high expectations on Sandy once I saw him in spring training. He looked so good. The narrative was all about Sandy Alcantara's return. I mean, from day one, with the press conferences, with the social media, everything was Sandy's back. He looks good. Peter Bendick said he looks really fantastic out there. And I'm excited. I mean, I haven't seen him pitch in 2 years. He's a Cy Young winner. And then he comes into the season. And that first start, I mean, he struck out, I believe, 7 Pirates in four innings or so. He looked good, ran into a little bit of trouble. And then you saw the Phillies game, which was just horrible. You saw the Dodgers, horrible. And then the Reds game, you saw a decent version. It was acceptable. He went 6 innings. I think he gave up 3 runs. It wasn't anything special, but it was progress. And it felt, and then you have the Dodgers again. And that's one big inning. You just can't put them away. I think, and this might be a hot take, this is the Sandy that we have to expect moving forward. A start which he goes 5 or 6 innings, and if he's on his A game, then he's going to throw up some zeros. But if he has 1 or 2 bad innings, that's where you'll see 3 or 4 runs. And I think other teams would be okay with seeing that version of Sandy because the stuff looks so good. I'm going to continue to say I'm waiting for the 7-8 inning shutout because I know that can happen on any given start from him. We've seen it before. It's in there. But is it realistically going to happen? I don't know. Like, the expectation shouldn't be that high right now. A lot has changed. And for Sandy and the Marlins, it's all about maximizing his trade value. I hate to say it like that, but that's the business of the game. Peter Bendix, he'll never tell you this, but I guarantee you he's thinking about potential Sandy Alcantara trades because that's the big chip. That's the huge fish to fry on the deadline plans. Can he put himself in a position to get traded? A couple weeks ago, I would have said no way. That ERA he looks horrific. The command's all over the place. But then I look back at the White Sox start and this start against the Rays, in which, he ran into a couple innings of trouble. But for the most part, I would say he looked good. I don't think he looked awful. I mean, he was throwing up zeros. The stuff looked good. I don't know what they do with him because with Jesus Luzardo, they traded him at a really bad time. To my perspective, they botched that whole operation, trading him off of an injury-riddled season for a couple of low-A prospects. I get Cobb as a good prospect, but Luzardo's a Cy Young contender this season. Like, that is an objectively bad trade, in my opinion. You don't want to have a situation with Sandy where you wait, and then you're really cooked. So it's a fine line. I'm glad I'm not in Peter Bendix's shoes right now because any way you slice it, he's going to get some major criticism.
The thing is, there's no rush to trade him, and that's
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like with Luzardo, there was a rush to trade him because Luzardo's very injury prone, right? In a perfect world, he would have been traded before last season in 2024.
Well, they had the opportunity to.
Right. He was coming off his best season, the playoff run, the most innings he's ever pitched. They gave him the opening day nod. He didn't jump into the ace form that he could be, and then he gets injured again. They had to they rushed to deal him. That's not the case in Sandy's. Again, he's been extended. There's no arbitration. There's no numbers you're fighting with or days in the majors or anything like that. You know what Sandy's going to make next year. You know what he's going to make the year after. The thing is, you want to get the max you can for him, and right now they will not get that max. Now, do you do the same mistake twice? You called the Luzardo trade a mistake or wrongly handled. Do you do that again and rush him out of here? I don't think so. I think you hold him. Everybody wins in that case. So the Marlins stay at 40 million instead of 35 million or whatever that difference number is. It's not that huge of a difference where it's going to impact the bottom line. And then you make the moves with all the other pieces, right? So you keep Sandy, you have a starter, you move Edward to the bullpen. That gives you the option of trading a reliever or two. Because you could get some depth or length out of Edward Cabrera if he's moved to the bullpen, or Belozo or Major, whoever takes that next step up, who needs to come up. But with Sandy, there's no rush to trade him, and that's. Remember, I'm on record with your former host saying he would never throw another pitch for Miami. I thought he would have been dealt between the Tommy John and opening day this year, and they didn't do it. So you know what? I'm on the opposite end now. Hold the guy. Everybody wins.
I think you hold him for right now. I think you wait until the deadline and you reevaluate, because what is it? A month and a half? No, there's 2 months, 2.5 months till the trade deadline, end of July. So that's probably 13-ish starts, 14 starts left. I mean, that's a big sample size. We could reevaluate at the deadline, and if he is pitching, let's say he has 3 or 4 pretty good starts, 6, 7 innings, couple runs, and then the majority looks like what we're seeing out of the White Sox and the Rays, those type of starts, I think Bendix moves him, but I would not be opposed to waiting to the offseason. I will say this, though. If Sandy remains a Marlin for the entirety of 25, he will not be a Marlin in 26. I don't think there's any possibility of that happening. I think it's unlikely they hold him past the deadline, but if they do, he's gone at the winter meetings. Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind.
I'm right there with you. He will not be a Marlin in 2026.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about Otto Lopez. He made his return to the Marlins lineup. Also, Xavier Edwards, some injury news. He goes down with a back sprain. It's been a disappointing season, and it only gets a little bit worse for him, unfortunately, with the injury. That's coming up right after this. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to pick smart and win big. If you got a hunch that a couple of your favorite players might be showing up in the brightest moments, then you use the FanDuel app in the game while you're watching it. Go look at their player props, 3-pointers, over, under, free throws. There's so many options. They have it all. So $200 in bonus bets, you can win that if your first $5 bet wins. So if you're new to FanDuel, go over and sign up. Place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you will get those $200 in bonus bets. It's absolutely risk-free. It's just $5. So make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. A reminder, if you are watching Locked On Marlins on the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. But remember, if you're on the go, you're at the gym, you're driving your car to Lone Depot Park, you want to listen to some Locked On Marlins, we're on every single major podcast platform out there. So thank you guys for listening every Monday through Friday. And LMF, we're talking about the return of Otto Lopez and also the disappearance of Xavier Edwards as he goes on the injured list. Unfortunately, Otto returns. What's your initial thoughts on his return to the lineup? He hit a 3-run home run on Sunday. That was absolutely great to see. I'm hoping he gets hot and he gets back to the Otto of last year.
I hope he gets back to the Otto of the first 2 weeks of the season. He was on fire. Okay.
Yeah.
And he dropped off. He was a DFA candidate himself a couple weeks ago before the injury. All right. And look, X hasn't played great, but he's been playing through some nagging injuries. So they aren't stealing or trying to like they did last year. He maybe hits his knee. It reminds me of John Birdie in 2023, where he just, he came off the most steals in 22, and then in 2023, he just wasn't stealing at all. Xavier Edwards reminds me of that, but hopefully this time on the IL helps him. I want him to rest. I want him to be good because when he comes back healthy, he showed last year when he's healthy what he can actually do, and that's compete for a batting title. And I'd like to see that again, or even hit for a cycle. Why not? He's done that
Yeah.
once already. But in regards to Otto, it's nice to see him back. Again, you need him to perform. There's a glaring hole in shortstop on this team. A glaring hole. Ronnie Simon can't play it. Sonoha can't play it. Otto Lopez can't play it. And X is
He can't play it.
mediocre at it, right? I mean, you have take X out of it. He's done okay, not great, okay, but the other three can't even play up to his par. So there's a glaring hole at shortstop, and that's why that Kaba trade is so important, and for him to stay there, or one of these international signings that they've done over the last couple seasons. We need a shortstop. We this has been a problem on this team for a while. Jazz wasn't a shortstop. He tried, but he wasn't a shortstop. They tried Joey Wendell at shortstop. He wasn't a shortstop. They Miguel Rojas was a great defensive shortstop. Now he's somehow learned how to hit, whatever. But you get what I'm saying. We need a shortstop in this franchise, and I think they have that in these young guys. But it's getting to those young guys. Otto Lopez is a second baseman. He's going. The coach or the manager said he's going to get the majority of shortstop during the next couple weeks. Let's see how he does. It's a. I love this team because every time someone gets injured, they're not moving pieces around. Someone is coming off the IL, and
Yeah.
that's how deep this team is right now, which is something we've never had. Right? We were bringing up players unknown, couldn't hit a strike in the major leagues. Right down the plate, they'd be swinging at it or fouling it off. But right now, it's not a bad thing to have, and I want to point that out. But the team has to develop someone at that position that can play it for the full season and into next year because these young guys are still just too young. You have Max Acosta, I guess, would be next up if he could play short. I think he's short in
Yeah.
AAA,
Yeah. He is.
but he would be the next guy up. But it's a good thing to have all this depth, and I wish Otto the best. Again, you want him to play like the guy who played for the first 2 weeks of the season, not the guy who couldn't hit for crap for the remainder since.
Well, for Otto Lopez, I like the idea of putting him at short. And really quickly, Xavier Edwards, I'm sorry, but he's just a terrible defender. You look at the Savant page, he's in the first percentile of outs above average. He can't
Right.
make the plays required to be a major league shortstop. It's just not happening. And for whatever reason, this organization continued to run him out there day in and day out. In my opinion, what they should have been doing is put Otto at short, who has better range and a better arm, and then put X at second base. Is Otto's defense going to take a hit? Sure. But I think it evens it out. It evens the playing field out a little bit. But you're right. This organization just doesn't have the middle infield quality depth at the major league level right now. Guys who can perform to an elite level defensively. Now, Max Acosta, really impressed in spring training, but he's in the minors right now. He's in AAA. He hasn't had a great season at the plate. Still a ton of playing time, ton of games left. It's not like I'm out on him as a prospect. I still think he has a very high ceiling, but these things take time. There's adjustment levels. Now, for the foreseeable future, it's like with X's injury, it's a back strain. He's on the 10-day injured list. Now, I don't know what the timetable for his return is. I don't know if he has a setback or whatnot, how serious it ends up being. Hopefully, it's just a short stint. But when he comes back, I really think that if the Otto Lopez experiment at shortstop works, he should be at short. X moves to second. Now, the other glaring hole on this team, it's not catcher, believe it or not. I think the catching depth has been great. It's first base. And the first base situation is just reached a breaking point. They have Eric Wagman playing left field, which I already hate. And they have Matt Mervis at first, and then they'll rotate Wagman to first base as well. Let's make this clear to all the watchers and listeners out there. Matt Mervis, the experiment is over. He's not a good major league player. That's it. Troy Johnston is in AAA right now, tearing it up. Was a home run short of the cycle the other day and almost got it, by the way. That ball was over 100 miles an hour. His last at-bat, 393 feet. He will be better than Matt Mervis is right now. There's not a doubt in my mind. Give him an opportunity. I'm tired of the Matt Mervis experiment. I want to see Troy Johnston up and Liam Hicks. Liam Hicks needs to be in the lineup every day, whether that's at catcher, DH, or you know what, first base. He started 44 games throughout the minors at first base. He can play the position a little bit. Run him out there. No more Mervis.
I love the name, the Hebrew Hammer. He got off hot where all he needed to do was hit, and all he needs to do is hit a home run 3 out of every 10 at-bats, and everybody would be happy. Unfortunately, he's one of the worst hitters in Major League Baseball throughout the month of May, from when he was hot at the end of April to now. And that goes with saying he got a double on Sunday. Good for him. That was like his first hit the whole month. I was out of action. I didn't watch any games. You know what I didn't miss? I didn't miss the Matt Mervis hit for 7 days. And that's sad. Look, you and I both support Troy Johnston and his future career. He's going to make a major league player for some team. We hope it's our team. You hope you don't let that go and you give up like a potential Hall of Famer. Not saying he's a Hall of Famer, but you never know what can happen once you reach the show. And you would have liked or would like him to get that opportunity in a Marlins uniform. You might have seen it if Matt Mervis didn't get his double on Sunday afternoon. But you know what? It's a long season, a lot of injuries ahead. Matt Mervis does have options, so it's not a DFA. It would be a send down, but you do have to clear a roster spot for Troy Johnston. He's not on the 40-man, so that's where it gets convoluted. And you know what? We would love to see him up here. Shout out to Liam Hicks with the home run on Sunday. He's really performing. And you go back to like 2006 or 7, I forget the year, when Dan Ugla was a Rule 5 pick. You go back there, you didn't know who the guy was. No one could pronounce his name. We're pronouncing it Ugla. But Dan Ugla really stepped up that year. His on-base percentage was very high, over 850. But guess who's also over 850? And that's Liam Hicks. He's just really taking advantage of the opportunity, and you give it to the scouts and Peter Bendix for pulling that trigger in the Rule 5 draft. I know we're low on time, but I do want to say something about Jesus Sanchez really quick. Jesus Sanchez is batting as leadoff right now in the last 3 games. That is a horrible decisions. Now, I get when the lineup turns around, it makes sense, right? It only matters the first time. But look, he got on base, I think, at least one of the 3 games, or even maybe twice in 2 of the 3. But Jesus Sanchez is not a leadoff hitter. He should be a power hitter. He has 1 home run still on the season.
1 homer.
That's scary to me that he's still battling it out on this team because he's not performing that well himself. I hope he turns it around, but really you should have Norby leading off. You should have Otto Lopez leading off. Someone else who fits that leadoff frame, not the power guy who swings at everything.
Yeah, he's not a leadoff hitter. I want to know who's making these lineups, number one, because I doubt it's McCullough. It has to be some sort of analytical model that's churning these out, because they're all over the place. This team right now is just, the lineup in particular is just everywhere. And, Matt Mervis, I don't know what we're doing with that situation. It feels like we're holding out hope, for a home run. It's not happening. It's sad to me that one double, he hit a double. Like, Congratulations. Like, whoop-de-doo. But I don't know. Troy Johnson, it just makes me mad because he deserves a shot, and Liam Hicks deserves more playing time. That is the other big takeaway as we wrap this up. Liam Hicks deserves more playing time. He's hitting everything, 850 OPS. Go watch the at-bats. I mean, he's turning fastballs. He's hitting velocity. It's not like these are cheap hits. He hits the ball really, really hard.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to have this depth, right? We have 3 catchers right now. 2 of them need playing time. One of them needs the DH spot. So you mix and match. I think Fortes is the odd man out. Maybe he's trading. You know, and then you have Joe Mack waiting to come up. It's a weird position to be in. I don't know about you, and I'm going to end. I know we're on time. I'm going to end the show with this. We are 9 games under 500. Does this feel like a 9-game under 500 franchise right now? Not to me.
Yeah, it's exciting. The problems we're talking about in a lot of ways are good problems when it comes to the catching depth in particular. What will the Marlins do in the long-term plans with Ramirez, with Fortes, with Hicks, who's played himself into the equation as well? And then Joe Mack waiting in the wings in AAA is going to be special. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. For your second listen of the day, go check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night over on the Locked On MLB channel. Every game, every night, they break it all down there. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.